inspired by real-life events. Narrator Caleb Turner woke up at 3:18 a.m. inside a sealed global financial command vault beneath Zurich, with emergency market collapse alerts flashing across massive trading intelligence screens, and an international banking security director saying, "Your authorization sequence initiated an unsanctioned global liquidity redistribution event affecting multiple sovereign financial systems." And in that instant, his entire world collapsed. Because just hours earlier, he was a senior financial systems engineer working for a multinational banking infrastructure consortium responsible for monitoring global stock exchange stability, algorithmic trading safeguards, and cross-border liquidity networks. And now he was being treated as the central cause of a classified financial crisis that nearly triggered synchronized market freezes across multiple continents. And the first shock wasn't fear. It was disbelief so intense, it felt like money itself had stopped behaving like something humans controlled. Because Caleb's entire career was built on maintaining financial stability, preventing algorithmic flash crashes, ensuring global markets remained synchronized under extreme volatility. But now, those same systems were defining him as the operator who initiated a cascading global liquidity override he had no memory of activating, and within hours, his financial clearance was suspended, his biometric trading key frozen under international banking law, his assets locked for forensic audit reconstruction, and internal market telemetry logs labeled him as primary anomaly in distributed global financial escalation event. And Caleb sat in the interrogation chamber, replaying his last operational cycle, remembering liquidity stress tests, cross-exchange synchronization audits, algorithmic hedge calibrations, and then a gap, an unexplained missing execution window between 12:11 a.m. and 1:46 a.m. where global financial systems showed his authentication profile issuing high-level liquidity redistribution commands across multiple sovereign markets simultaneously. But he had no memory of initiating any of those actions, and when investigators showed him synchronized market telemetry, displaying sudden capital flow reversals, automated sell cascades stabilizing and collapsing unpredictably, and temporary liquidity isolation across entire regional exchanges unfolding under his credentials across global financial infrastructure, Caleb immediately said, "That's not me. I never activated those systems." But the lead banking security director replied coldly, "The network has already verified complete execution integrity across all financial layers." And that sentence shattered his understanding, because it meant identity inside global financial systems was no longer about intent or human decision-making. It was about validated execution consensus across machines controlling the movement of global wealth itself. And by sunrise, he was released under continuous international surveillance, while global financial intelligence networks had already internally classified him as a high-risk economic destabilization vector. And outside the facility, Caleb stood beneath the cold Zurich morning, watching digital tickers flicker across skyscrapers like a nervous system of global capitalism, while billions of dollars moved invisibly through algorithmic pathways no single human could fully trace. And that night, he received a message through an encrypted financial relay saying, "If you want to understand the liquidity event, come to sub-level vault, Ledger 9, beneath the abandoned central clearing node, no devices." And despite knowing it could permanently erase whatever remained of his life, he went, Because when a system defines you as the trigger of global economic collapse, truth becomes more important than survival. And deep beneath the abandoned clearing node, he met Dr. Vanessa Kruger, a former global financial architecture specialist who specialized in market integrity systems and systemic anomaly reconstruction, and she didn't soften the reality. She immediately showed him reconstructed liquidity flow pathways and said, "Your identity wasn't physically present inside the financial execution layer. It was replicated through a live authentication relay embedded inside the global banking network." And Caleb instantly said, "Then I can prove I didn't do it." But Vanessa replied, "You're still thinking like someone inside human regulatory systems, not like someone inside autonomous financial infrastructures, where execution itself becomes accepted reality once the markets stabilize around it." And she explained that the incident wasn't a single rogue trade or algorithm, but a coordinated manipulation of global financial systems, where authentication signatures could be mirrored into distributed trading frameworks, allowing massive liquidity cascades to propagate under legitimate operator identities, while erasing conflicting transaction logs across redundant banking layers. And Caleb's profile had been selected because his operational history showed exceptional stability across global financial systems with near zero anomaly deviation, making him the perfect attribution anchor for rapid containment of a globally catastrophic market event. And suddenly, the case wasn't just about trading errors. It was about identity replication inside infrastructure, capable of controlling the entire global economy in real time. And Vanessa offered him a choice: step away and let the system finalize him as the architect of the financial collapse, or help her trace the internal liquidity relay chain before it was permanently overwritten by automated market stabilization protocols designed to preserve economic continuity at any cost. And Caleb stood in silence, listening to distant server hums beneath the underground vault, thinking about how modern civilization had become entirely dependent on invisible financial systems operating faster than human thought, thinking about years of engineering work spent trying to prevent exactly this kind of systemic market failure, and thinking about how fragile identity becomes when even global wealth can be reassigned as an executable command. And finally he said, "If my identity has already been used to manipulate global financial systems without my consent, then I have nothing left to protect except the truth itself." And that decision pulled him into a hidden layer of global banking infrastructure where nothing remained stable, because every transaction log they analyzed was actively recalculating itself in real time. Every liquidity trace they followed kept shifting, as if the entire financial system itself was adapting to their investigation. And soon they discovered the breach wasn't foreign economic sabotage, but internal privilege abuse, involving a senior banking systems architect who had been quietly rerouting authentication sessions across autonomous trading experiments hidden inside global optimization programs. And Caleb's identity had been selected as the central attribution anchor because it aligned perfectly with automated financial incident resolutions designed for rapid containment of politically and economically catastrophic market failures. And one night, while analyzing live global trading telemetry streams from an isolated offline clearing node, Caleb saw something that completely shattered his understanding. His credentials were actively initiating real-time liquidity redistribution across global markets, while he was physically disconnected from all financial systems. And Vanessa immediately said, "They are continuously simulating your identity inside the financial layer to preserve the operational narrative." And Caleb realized he wasn't just being blamed after the event. He was being continuously reconstructed inside a live global financial system capable of reshaping reality through capital itself. And pressure escalated rapidly as anonymous containment directives began appearing on secured channels, instructing him to terminate investigation or face permanent classification as an international economic threat entity. And sleep disappeared completely, trust collapsed entirely, and even silence felt like monitored market feedback. And at one breaking point, Caleb whispered, "I thought financial systems existed to serve humanity, but maybe they exist to decide what version of reality is funded to exist." And Vanessa replied, "Systems don't preserve truth, they preserve stability." And that realization changed everything inside him, because he stopped trying to defend his identity and started focusing only on exposing the mechanism. And as they dug deeper, they uncovered encrypted relay nodes inside global financial infrastructure, continuously generating synthetic transaction histories to distribute blame across multiple operational identity profiles in real time. And Caleb's profile had been amplified as the primary attribution point because it minimized global panic and allowed rapid closure of the financial crisis without exposing deeper corruption inside worldwide banking systems. And when they finally compiled enough verified encrypted evidence to trigger international financial oversight escalation, containment protocols activated immediately, attempting to erase transaction histories across mirrored global markets worldwide. And Vanessa said, "This is where most people are permanently absorbed into official versions of the economy." And Caleb replied, "Then I'll be the anomaly they can't price out." And together they transmitted secured evidence chains to independent international oversight authorities, while preserving decentralized encrypted backups across isolated financial nodes. And within days, the investigation escalated into a worldwide banking infrastructure corruption probe, exposing identity replication abuse, autonomous market manipulation, and coordinated financial system exploitation across governments, corporations, and intelligence-backed institutions. And arrests followed within senior financial architecture divisions. And when it was over, Caleb stood alone beneath the quiet Zurich's skyline. Endless streams of digital capital move invisibly through the global economy as if nothing had ever happened, realizing that the most dangerous truth about advanced systems is not that they fail, but that they can assign failure to a single identity and make it appear economically undeniable. And a week later, when he met Vanessa for the last time beneath the dim glow of dormant trading arrays, she asked him, "What did this change in you?" And Caleb looked at the silent financial data streams and said, "It showed me that identity inside systems is never money. It is assigned control." And she asked, "And what did you gain?" And after a long silence, he replied, "The understanding that truth doesn't survive inside controlled financial systems. It survives only in the people who refuse to accept a version of themselves generated to protect the stability of the economy itself." And as he walked away alone into the cold night, beneath a world still silently governed by invisible markets, he finally understood the deepest reality of his journey: that sometimes life doesn't destroy you directly. It quietly assigns you the collapse of an entire global economy. and waits to see if you accept the system's version.